let's move to the hot topic of treatment of lupus nephritis. So you should know treatment of lupus nephritis has two phases, a phase of induction and maintenance. The goal of induction is to induce remission. Okay, once you induce remission, you maintain remission with maintenance phase of immunosuppression. You cannot keep on giving induction agents continuously because they are toxic, pretty toxic, and most of the agents are equally associated with very high chances of infection, right? So you cannot keep on giving induction regimen for a very long time. So it is very prudent and becomes imperative that you induce remission as rapidly as possible and try to maintain the remission with some low dose immunosuppression medications. Okay, so now let us look at which are the induction agents, which are the maintenance agents. Before that, let me tell you what are the induction regimens that is commonly used in routine clinical practice. So number one is NIH regime. So this is basically we use 0.5 to 1 gram per meter square of cyclophosphamide every month for 6 months. This is along with steroids. So steroids are always there. Okay, so steroids along with cyclophosphamide in this dosing will constitute NIH regime. The other regimen is called as urolupus regime, where we use same cyclophosphamide at lower dose. So at the end of completion of this regime, the total cumulative dose of cyclophosphamide will be markedly less. So the chances of over-immunosuppression or the chances of infection is pretty less and supposed to be less in this regime. So in this regime, we usually give endoxan, that is cyclophosphamide, 500 mg. This is fixed dose. Whereas in NIH, we give 0.5 to 1 gram per meter square, and we titrate the dose based on response, based on neutropenia, and so on and so forth. So whereas in urolupus regime, we give a fixed dose of 500 mg of cyclophosphamide once in 2 weeks for total 6 doses. Right. So that is about urolupus regimen. That is again along with steroids. Third will be MMF based induction. So in this, what we use is oral mycophenolate mofetil in the doses of 2 to 3 gram per day along with steroids. Okay, so all three regimens, all three, that is NIH, urolupus and MMF, all three regimens are approved to be used in class 3, class 4 lupus nephritis. Okay, the choice of the regime will be based on so many factors. One will be if there is a young female who wants to conceive. Okay, we try to avoid endoxan, that is cyclophosphamide, because it is a potential gonadotoxic. Okay, so somebody who wants to conceive, so we generally avoid endoxan. In them, we would definitely prefer using MMF based regimen. So certain race like Hispanics and blacks, African Americans, they have done exceptionally well with MMF based regimen. Okay, so in those races, the first drug of induction would be, the first choice of induction would be naturally MMF based, because the evidence is very strong. Okay, so that is about induction treatment in the management of lupus nephritis. Now let's look at the maintenance phase. So generally the drugs available to be used in maintenance phase is MMF, azathioprine, cyclosporin, tacrolimus. Okay, this is along with low dose steroids. The maintenance phase can extend as long as 2 to 3 years. Okay, and we have to serially monitor the activity of the disease, the response to the medication. If the activity is coming down, the patient is getting better, responding to the treatment that is all given. So there is a continuous process of monitoring the activity and response of the disease to immunosuppression, right? So let us take a small example of how to generally proceed with in different classes of lupus nephritis. So class 1, you treat SLE, the systemic symptoms. There is no LN, that is no lupus nephritis, no treatment, no renal specific treatment. Okay. In class 2, treat systemic symptoms. For lupus nephritis, generally no treatment required. For low grade proteinuria, you can always use ACE inhibitors or ARBs, and always it is recommended to use HCQS along with the ACE inhibitors. For systemic symptoms, if indicated, they can use either steroid alone or along with steroid with HCQS. Let us look at class 3 and class 4. So for these lesions which are very severe and have a very adverse effect on the prognosis of the disease, they need aggressive treatment. So the choice would be either NIH regime or a Eurolupus protocol or MMF based regimen induction. Now let us see how to treat class 5. So class 5, subnephrotic protein and nephrotic range protein. Okay, so subnephrotic protein usually low dose steroids with cyclosporin, short term would be beneficial. Okay, if there is a high grade proteinuria, then the options would be to treat them with either cyclosporin or tacrolimus or MMF or monthly IV Indoxan, right? So if there is class 5 lesion plus class 3 or 4, generally go back and treat it like either class 3 or class 4 with either NIH or Eurolupus or MMF based. There is something called multi-targeted therapy, multi-targeted approach, where especially whenever there is a combination of class 3 or class 4, this one regimen can be tried, where you combine both tacrolimus with MMF and steroids. So this is multi-pronged approach or multi-targeted approach. So this is in brief about how to go about treating different classes of lupus nephritis. And other thing is, in addition to immunosuppression, you should always remember to give bone prophylaxis with bisphosphonates, infection prophylaxis to prevent pneumocystis, either cotrimoxazole, okay, and always include ACE inhibitors and ARBs in the management of lupus nephritis, right? So with this, we have learned what are the different classes of lupus nephritis, how they manifest clinically, how to differentiate clinically into different classes, and how to analyze the biopsies in different classes of lupus nephritis, which are the markers favoring activity, which are the markers favoring chronicity, what are the bad prognostic factors, and when is actually the heavy immunosuppression is actually warranted, whether to treat class 2, whether to treat class 5, or whether to treat class 4, and what are the different options available, which are the different regimens available for the treatment of lupus nephritis. Okay, so with that, let's move on to the management of resistant lupus. So generally what happens is, there is a lupus nephritis, you start treatment for 3 months, you try one regime, say either endoxan or MMF, okay, you give it for 3 months, no response, switch to other drug. Okay, so if previously on endoxan, switch them to MMF. If the first agent was MMF, switch them to endoxan. So try again for 3 months. If still no response, you generally call it as resistant lupus nephritis. Okay, so there are other definitions which they say failure to induce remission after completion of one induction regimen, which is generally for 6 months. So, but for the sake of easy clinical practice, this is how you do it, because you cannot wait for 6 months, so that waiting for the patient to that okay the patient will respond. No, you cannot keep on waiting for 6 months. So you should start getting clues by 3rd month. So by 3rd month you don't see response, switch to the alternate drug, and even after giving that alternate drug for 3 more months and you find that there is no response, then that is a serious trouble. So that is usually the indicator of a resistant lupus nephritis. So what are the options to treat resistant lupus? Will be again the usual drugs, cyclosporin or tacrolimus, or sometimes MMF, sometimes multi-target approach, that is combine TAC, MMF and steroids, sometimes rituximab. Okay, so rituximab is one of the option, not the first option, one of the option for the treatment of lupus resistant lupus nephritis, right? So now let us see other options which may be employed in treating resistant lupus nephritis. Sometimes, as I told you just now, it could be rituximab, sometimes plasmapheresis, I mean not in the treatment of resistant lupus, plasmapheresis, other modalities of treatment that can be or may be proven to be efficacious in the treatment of lupus nephritis will be plasmapheresis, sometimes IV, IG, and other drugs, so like rituximab, ocrelizumab, atacicept. So many things have been tried and they have not proven to be clinically useful. And other drug which you should know for in your entrance point of view is belimumab, which is a B lymphocyte inhibitor, so BLIS. So this has been recently approved for treatment of lupus, not lupus nephritis per se. For lupus patients, it has been approved to be of some clinical benefit. Okay, so there are few indications where you advise plasmapheresis. So you should know certain indications. of plasmapheresis in lupus nephritis. Okay, so number 1, in lupus thrombotic microangiopathy. Number 2, presence of APLA with thrombosis. Number 3, especially crescentic GN which has RPGN presentation. I mean, this is not a strong indication for plasmapheresis, but just like any other crescentic and rapidly progressive GN where you naturally use plasmapheresis, it may be tried in lupus nephritis as well. So lupus TMA, presence of APLA, and sometimes, don't quote this, sometimes crescentic class 4 GN. I thought this is only class 4 GN which has an RPGN manifestation. The plasmapheresis may be indicated. So this is all about various treatment options, treatment modalities, treatment approaches in treatment of lupus nephritis.